ACCUSTATS Video Productions presents World-Class 9-Ball from the Sands Regency Hotel in Reno, Nevada. I'm David Maddux, and joining me in the booth, touring pro JR Calvert. JR, introduce the players to us.
Well, we have the mighty EARL Strickland and Roger the Rocket Griffis today.
Where is Roger from? Do you know?
Right now he's living in Coppell, Texas.
Coppell, Texas. I heard him inviting players to come to Mesa, Arizona to enjoy the fine facilities they have there, the weather and the golf and all that. And we should have an offensive shootout in this match with Roger Griffis and EARL Strickland. This should be a great match.
Yes, this really does sound like it's going to be a great match. You know, Roger is the only person to ever beat EARL in a TV finals match.
You know, that is a good point. And they are both they are finalists of this tournament, and EARL beat Roger in Roger's first final appearance. He played EARL Strickland at this tournament, and you know, to beat EARL under the camera is quite an accomplishment, because there is nobody tougher when the tape starts rolling than the mighty EARL. So we look for an exciting match, and this contest is a race to 11. This is in the winners bracket, and this is to go to the winners bracket final. And no, I'm sorry, the winners bracket semifinal. Both of the players are already in the money, so EARL has broken the balls and proceeding to dispatch the first game.
Well, see what kind of angle he has on this 4 here.
It looks like he can just roll the 4 in and shoot the 5 in the lower right-hand corner.
Yeah, he should be able to do that. Okay, he's a little high, but he'll be able to nudge the 6 on the way down here.
Yep. He may aim to overcut it slightly and hit it with a little inside spin and go at the 9-ball with the cue ball. You know, you see EARL in practice hitting you know, a lot of long straight in and jacked up draw shots and all that kind of stuff. But EARL's finesse game is something that is underrated, because I've seen him hit some tremendous position shots with finesse play and great safeties too. So you know, while he practices the other, you know, he's got all the shots in his arsenal.
He certainly does. He uses the correct technique on just about every shot. That's the thing that he's underrated at.
And he takes an early 1-0 lead in the match, and obviously accomplishing his objective in breaking and running out, you know, to keep your opponent in the chair, and that's something that he is quite capable of doing.
Yeah, well, see how they break this time.
You know, I was at Pat Fleming's, and I saw an old copy of the Accu-Stats publication, and there was a tournament in North Carolina that EARL Strickland participated in, and at the time they were keeping statistics on one statistic in particular was the break and run out statistic, and for an entire tournament EARL Strickland broke and ran out over 30% of the time that he broke the balls. Now that is that's unheard of. And that's a testament not only to his great shot making, but his tremendous break, which many people will consider to be the best break in the game.
True. I don't know whether you remember several years ago when we were keeping statistics on the pros. I believe the break and run out percentage was around 15%.
And to double that for an entire tournament, exactly my point.
Top notch. Well, you know, I'm really interested to see what he's going to do with his 6-ball here. I can't. Is he got an outward angle on this 3-ball?
I believe he may be able to draw to the left of the 6-ball. What great control!
I think he wanted to use the 9, stay on top of the 4, and follow 2 rails out onto the 5.
And bump the 9 away from the 6. Yeah, that would have been the optimum angle. But you know, given the position of the 3-ball and the cue ball, you know, he's done extremely well to come up with a shot here. You know, he may be able to draw the cue ball back up and attain an angle where he can go either to the right-hand side rail and into the 9, or just draw the cue ball off of the 5.
He may
into
like the
9.
6-9 at this point.
That's true.
We have overlooked that.
That's true.
And he doesn't seem to be too upset that he hasn't got a good angle. Well, it must be pretty on.
Well, he's certainly gotten into a position where he can make it, if in fact it is on. And he knocked it straight in.
Pretty easy work. Now he's broke from both sides. I'm just curious, which side do you think he's going to elect to go with here?
Well, predominantly our right-hand side is the side of choice for most of the pros, and that is, that allows them to get their body more into the break, because the table is to their right, and Earl is quite capable of breaking from anywhere. And I believe you see where the players break from on the right-hand side. You can see the little mark right where he's going right now. I believe he is one of the pioneers of the side rail break.
Right.
And
I believe so. Well, he's come up short on this break. I can't really make out whether Roger actually has a pocket for the 1 ball in the upper left-hand corner.
I believe the 7 ball is will preclude him from shooting the 1 in the upper left-hand corner. He may elect to bank it, but that's risky, which is what he did. He went all out for the bank.
Boy, that's a testament to the aggressive style of Roger Griffis. He just had 2 racks run on him, and he took about 20 seconds to decide to cross over a bank against Earl.
Well, that decision may have been a little hasty, given that the position on the 2 was not guaranteed if he made the bank. Right. And if he were going to bank at the ball, he may have taken a little more time and thought to bank it short, so it may have ended up in the middle of the end rail, in case he missed it. But he's given Earl Strickland an excellent opportunity to take a 3-0 lead.
Earl just made an excellent shot. Got a nice nudge from the 4, but he played the percentages there.
Definitely.
He's probably going to just try and beat the 8 ball here and obtain an angle on the 3 in the side, and he'll be in line for the rest of the out.
Do you think he's going to go on the right side of the 4? It's difficult to tell if he's just going to bump it in or go to the right. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's...
Yeah.
He's pretty much in line. He'll just stay underneath the line to the pocket on this 4 ball. Uh-oh. What was he doing here?
I don't
understand that.
He hit it with high inside.
Yes, he understands that he did it something went haywire there.
He may have hit it a little more thinly than he anticipated, and the cue ball retained a little more of its speed, and the spin took off the rail. So,
I actually think we saw mental error there.
I think that
I think he decided to get on the top side of that ball and got there, and then realized he was backwards. Okay. He hit that shot nice. He had the 7 ball in the game if something went wrong there.
The speed on that shot was just tremendous. It was the optimum speed to pocket the 5 ball, and the cue ball speed was where he had on the 6 ball. That's where you would put it if you had ball in hand. So, perfectly executed shot. Easy.
Wow.
Oh. Well, that's an uncharacteristic error. Now Roger's got to feel awfully fortunate to be at the table. I mean, with the cue ball in hand on the 8, but he forged into the lead, 2-1. 2 games for Earl, 1 game for Roger.
I just wonder at times when Earl makes a mistake in the middle of the rack sometimes. He's sometimes as lately have been taking himself out of the rest of the rack. That 6 ball was typical where he went ahead and shot the 6, and once he realized what he had on the 7, he just didn't care. He shot the 7, and whatever it was going to give him, he was going to deal with. I don't think Earl mentally is as strong as he was maybe a year and a half ago, or when he won the World Championships in August.
Right. Well, you know, it may be his concentration, but I don't think that anybody can dispute that Earl's will to win is probably, you know, his will to win is tremendous. You know, there's nobody that wants to win more than Earl, you know, and
I know you're not trying to, but
you know, he does what it takes to win. Also, I don't think that there are many, if any, players that practice harder than Earl, or for more. You know, I know that yourself, that you told me yesterday that you had been practicing for 7 or 8 hours every day, and you know, it has really affected how you've been playing. You've been playing good. Earl's been doing that, you know.
Yeah, I imagine he has. Well, Roger seems to be in a situation where he has to roll out here.
Where do you like to roll out, JR?
I'm analyzing that there. I think, you know, I don't know whether I'd really want to push out to where Earl couldn't be any more or less than 7 or 8 feet from a ball.
You'd like to push him to the other end of the room is what you'd like to do. So hit a driver from over there and see if you can make the 2 ball. I think he'll find himself either under the 2 or under the 4.
I think he's going to go ahead and shoot at this ball and see what he gets on the 3. He did pretty good.
Yeah, well, that again is a, you know, very aggressive type of shot, and the type of shot that we, you know, look to see from him.
Do you see Roger coming off with a good safe here? He looks like he's shooting.
He's shooting at the 2.
Okay. I thought he was going to try and go behind the 7 ball here.
He was shooting at
it.
And I believe the 7 got in the way. Well, what we'll see Earl do here is shoot the 2 in the lower left-hand corner and spin his ball around the 7, 3 cushions toward the 3. If he executes this shot, it'll really be a thing of beauty.
You know, I think he's actually going to try and go 2 rails and go up in between the 8 and 9.
Either way.
Yeah, he did. He let it. He held it up
shorter than he went inside the 8.
Yeah, he even held it up a little more than what I thought he was going to. But that great shot, great results. Oh gosh. Everybody else in the room cinches the 3 ball and accepts the 4. What a great shot. Calculated risk in his mind, I take it. Easy bank. Easy work of the rest of the out.
Right.
Okay.
Well, I'm going to, while Earl finishes this rather routine out, I'll tell you how both players got here. Roger Griffis defeated Han Chung in the first round. He got a bye in the first round. The second round, Han Chung. The third round, Danny Harriman, which is a big win because Danny is a you know, a ranked and seeded player. Even though he's young, he is extremely capable. And Roger beat Danny, and then he beat an unknown to many of the viewers and spectators, but to the pool world, this guy is really making a name for himself, and that's Warren Kiamko. In the last month, I've seen him beat Strickland, Rempe. You know, he has beat some tremendous players, and Roger dispatched to him last night like, you know, routine, pretty easy, you know. And Earl also had a difficult route to this position. In the first round, he didn't get a bye. He played Art Wiggins. Then in the second round, in a rematch of a great match that they had last year, he played Greg Fix and won that match. He beat Mark Jarvis. And then last night, Jim Rempe has been playing tremendous pool as of late, in the last 2 or 3 months in particular. And Earl beat Jim Rempe 11-4 last night, and you know, that just goes to show his dominance in the game. And I believe that Earl didn't mark up his score, and the score is 3-1. So we'll mark that down, and
I'm sure he'll remember it when he goes and wins the next game, or maybe even when he gets to the table if he does this game.
right. We know Roger's got an extremely difficult shot on the 1. But if he pockets the 1, the position on the 2 is almost automatic. So the cue ball will go around the 8 and 3.
Well, he hit it pretty good.
Well, he did hit it pretty good, and you know, he bet the game on that 1 shot.
Sure did.
But he didn't have an easy safety, and given the position of the cue ball in the jaws of the pocket, it was tough no matter what. So
A lot of players hit that ball with a little less pace than what Roger hit that. They try and get the 3 and the 8 into the game just in case they do miss.
right, that's a good point.
You have a tendency to undercut that ball if you do anything, and it could bank up towards the deuce, and you could get the 3-8 in the game.
Right.
When you say that he was banking it all on that shot, he certainly was.
Well, I believe the 4 ball passes the 6.
Yeah.
Oh, I just saw on the monitor that it does in fact pass the 6.
Well, the only work he has to do is to go from the 8 to the 9, really, if you want to call it that, because everything's within a diamond of the hole.
Exactly right.
Brings up an interesting situation. Do you want to risk it all when there's an easy out there like that, or?
Right. Exactly.
Not?
Exactly right.
Now, do you let this cue ball go forward to the rail with follow, or do you do that?
Well, Earl strikes the bottom of the ball. You know, he doesn't necessarily like to roll the ball. You know, he likes to be on the bottom of the ball because he has such a great stroke and, you know, a lot of confidence in that shot. So I think that particular shot is just a personal preference type of shot.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a top player is going to be able to execute that 100% of the time either way. So, you know, given that the percentages would be the same, it's a personal, you know, it becomes a personal preference, just a choice, whichever way you feel comfortable with. And, you know, I'm sure in a situation like that there have been times when you rolled it to the rail and when you know, stunned it down. So
Depends on how tight the situation is.
yeah, exactly right. Exactly.
Uh-oh, he's got a bad kiss. Earl was unable to turn that mistake by Griffis into a multi-game mistake.
You notice that the opportunities that Roger has had, you know, the last game he had a long tough shot on the 1 ball, and this game Earl scratched, but he's not really been punished because of the position of the balls. They're all up table. You know, again, attesting to the power of Earl Strickland's break to move 9 balls, you know,
Right.
to the opposite end of the table. But Roger really doesn't have. If Roger gets out this rack, he definitely earned it, because it is not connect the dots type of out, which is really what he needs right now, being behind 4-1. He needs something easy to build his confidence.
Well, you know, I don't disagree with you too often, but I think he's got a pretty easy out. His only shot in this whole rack is he's got to go 3 rails off the 4 into the 5, or simply go and miss the 6 on the way up and stay below the 5.
Well, this is definitely the key shot position on the 5 ball. If he hits it with inside and goes around, he's going on this side of the 6, 1 cushion.
Ooh, he's putting the corner pocket into play, which was really smart. If he rolled too far,
He
still had the side.
Yeah.
That's why he's out there and we're in here.
Well, you know, what I was talking about at the beginning of the rack is that rack was not nearly as easy as the rack that Earl just had. You know, I mean, all the balls were, like you said, within a diamond of the pocket, and this rack, Roger has had to negotiate in and out of, you know, smaller areas.
Right. He's he's holding his stroke up a little bit here and there and using a little bit more control.
Right.
Earl was able to let the cue ball go just about anywhere, really.
He could have made every ball from just about anywhere. That's right.
Oh, Roger's ready to make it 4-2 now. Interesting thing was there that Earl moved all the balls on the top side of the table but didn't make a ball. The only ball that was arguably going to go made the cue ball scratch.
Right, the one ball. Yeah.
I'll have to see where Earl moves his cue ball to next time.
Where did he break from last time? The right?
I think he broke from the left-hand side. I'm not certain on that. Roger has a pretty powerful break.
Well, Roger finished second at the Bicycle Club last December, and you know, he knocked off some great players in that tournament. You know, of course, to finish second in any tour tournament you've beat, you know, you've climbed the mountain. Definitely.
Yes, you have.
And you know, so Roger he's been playing very well.
Well, he beat Efren in semifinals, and then Efren came back and beat him in the finals.
Exactly.
To let you know how well he was playing. He does something pretty interesting when he breaks. Is he yells a little bit when he breaks. When he starts breaking, the ball's really good. He gives it one of those martial arts. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Thank you.
Appropriately pronounced, I might add. Well, you know, sometimes when he doesn't hit him so hard, it's kind of like instead of a kiai, it's a Monica Seles kind of thing. You know?
Yeah.
Depending on the situation, when it's hill, you know, it might not be quite as enthusiastic.
I might
You're fine.
I might add that both players are racking their own balls in this set.
You know,
that isn't what we have been seeing.
It's interesting that Earl, you know, the table and chairs were further to the left. You know, they were near the corner of the table. And in the first or second game, Earl moved him over, you know, maybe a foot or so, because he had a shot that, you know, the table may have obstructed him some. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, just now, he moved it over some more, and Roger went to him and said, so, you know, how far are you going to move it? Is this the last time? Are you going to move it like down there with Nick and Tony? Or
Roger wants to feel that he's in the game, even though he's not playing, I take it.
Right.
Well, maybe a psychological move.
A little psychological parrying by the, you know, their combatants on the table and at the table, at the seating table.
Well, let's see what kind of game we have in front of us right now. I believe that he let Earl see a piece of this ball. Earl's going to lay this on the bottom rail.
Earl may be able to pocket this ball.
I can't really tell. Put it right on the bottom rail.
Right.
Oh.
Further than he would have liked. He would have liked to have hit the one thinner.
I think he was trying to hit it real thin. He was trying that.
Very nice shot, Roger.
Well struck. He'll just go one rail off the side rail. Up table here, it looks like. I don't think he's going to want to draw this ball.
Well, do you think that he's going to...
He's looking at it.
Right. He may play one... well, it's difficult to tell the exact angle of the two ball. That makes all the difference, you know. So we'll let him dictate.
He is drawing.
Yes.
Going to try and get a shot on the 3 and the side.
Oh, my goodness.
Boy, fundamental error. That's a rarity there.
Well, you know, we've seen both of these players scratch in the pocket. Earl when he shot the 7 ball and Roger when he shot the 2 ball. You might go 3 or 4 matches with both of these players and never see them scratch in the pocket. You know, it's highly unusual.
Yes, they both They both possess such great cue ball control.
So there may be just a little, you know, early match nerves showing up. Which is reassuring to mere mortals that you know the lights and the heat of the moment can affect even the greatest players. So
Yes, it isn't. Everybody feels pressure. It's just how they deal with it. Well, it looks like Earl's going to make it 5-2.
Roger had an excellent opportunity after a misplayed safety by Earl. So
Yeah, I have to admit this match should be a little bit closer. Roger seems to be making more mistakes right at this moment in time.
and as everybody that has been around pool knows, that when Earl sees weakness, he really shows his teeth and will let you have it. You know, he makes you pay for your mistakes, which of course is the mark of a great champion in any sport. So
Look at the new position of the cue ball. Earl didn't like the last time. He really doesn't like it now. He knows that he has to quit giving Roger opportunities here. Yeah, Roger's going to take a break and try and regroup.
okay, viewers, since Roger has taken a break, we're going to take a break also, and we'll be back with you in just a moment. Okay, I hope you've helped yourself to a soda and some freshly popped popcorn to enjoy the remainder of this match with us. Roger's returned from his break, and he has a cue ball in hand, which he, you know, I'm sure he pondered what he was going to do while he was on break.
I'm sure he did. Mostly, though, I think he wanted to get some of the early mistakes out of his mind and come at this as a fresh match.
Well, you know, he may have gone in the restroom and pulled his driver's license out, you know, just to make sure it was really him. And with the real Roger Griffis, please stand up, you know.
Sure. Well, he's just going to let this ball, he's going to center ball this off the rail, it looks like. Here we go.
He's got a nice angle on the 3 to go to the rail and out for a position on the 4 in the same pocket.
Yeah, he's going to want to keep an angle towards the rail on this 4 ball.
Right.
He did it. Okay.
Yeah, from where he's at, he'll hit it with draw a little outside and left in this position, and the cue ball in the direction of the 5. You know, the angle on the 6 ball is extremely important here.
Right. A lot of players think that all they want to do is not get straight in here. Okay, Roger, what he's trying to do is he's trying to position the ball exactly side pocket height so he can reach it.
Right.
And that's what he did.
Very good speed there. He pocketed the 6 ball very cleanly. You know, there have been some shots earlier in the match where it was a little rough. You know, the ball brushed a rail going in, or he hit the 6 ball very crisp, and you know, that the discussion that went on in his head while he was gone may have affected his play. So that may have been a good time to take a break.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a new match. Okay, 5-3. Be interesting to see whether Roger can maintain his level of play or not here. I think he'll be able to keep it at least for 5 or 6 racks, depending on whether Earl takes command of the set.
That's the eye of the tiger we see on the screen, Roger Griffis.
Mean looking sucker, isn't he?
I don't want to put on the gloves with him, you know. Unless I have like a 9mm in my other hand.
You make the one?
He made the 1 on the break, and he does have a shot at the 2 ball The position of the 3 will allow him to roll, just roll the 2 ball in the side, I believe.
Well, the 5-9 seemed to be a problem. I don't know whether the 5 can go up in our upper left-hand corner off the 9, but if anything, it may introduce a little safety play into this game.
Well, I think what we're going to see Roger do here is, if he got straight in, he'll roll the cue ball to the rail, and when he shoots the 4 in, he'll go into the 5-9 with the cue ball.
Interesting point, but I think he really would like to go into just the 9 if he does this.
Well, if he splits them, the cue ball is going to have right-hand spin. So if it splits them, the 5 goes to the rail, the cue ball hits the rail, and then clears away from the balls. So, if he splits them or hits the 9, he's hit it. He's hit it very well. He just wants to make sure he doesn't hit the 5 right in the nose.
Right, and send it on the other side of the 9.
Right.
Uh-oh. That's what I was afraid of there.
Well, I think that if he had it to do over, he would have shot it slightly harder, with just a little more pace.
Sometimes I think in that situation there, that one rail is easy to judge, but sometimes when you keep that cue ball toward the center of the table on the 4 ball, you can introduce the 1 or 2 rail option into the shot.
Right. Well, I think obviously we're going to see Roger play a safety here, unless he feels like Roger's a good one-pocket player. We may see him bank at the 5.
Remember, he is aggressive.
And he did bank at the 5, and he did make the 5.
I can't see whether the scratch is there or not.
But he scratched in the side. That is, there are many players would call that a bad roll. That's not a bad roll. That was a missed execution. And, it was at an unfortunate juncture in the match, definitely, but that's tough to deal with. Because he hit a very good shot to bank the 5.
Right.
And to have the cue ball go 1 revolution too far, that's tough.
Well, Earl's got enough with this that he can mess around with the rail and cheat the pocket here.
I think we're going to see him hit it with a little pace. Force the cue ball over some.
So how many mistakes do we have in the match so far?
Well, we're not keeping ACCUSTATS per se, but I'm taking notes, in the event that we get to do an interview with the eventual winner, and these are some of the things that I'll ask them about. And Earl scratched on the 7 ball early, which was uncharacteristic, and then Roger scratched on the 2 ball when he drew it in the side, and then he just scratched again there. Earl scratched 1 time on the break. So there's been a lot of whitey going in the hole in this match, which is you don't really see that often. You see it more on the break than on when after they pocket ball.
Right. Well, this is a pretty easy spread here. Tic-tac-toe, connect the dots.
Mike Siegel were here, he would call it a Cosmo. Well, where he got that, I don't know. That may be a Siegelism, or however that would be said.
I think Earl is going to keep with the left-hand side break from here on out. These balls look too easy.
His left or our left?
Oh, our left.
Oh, okay.
Where he's currently positioned now.
Right.
The last time he broke from that spot, I think, is when he scratched, and that's why he moved.
Right.
But now he's found it.
And the score is 7-3 in favor of 4-time world champion, 4-time player of the year, future Hall of Famer, Earl Strickland.
As Scott Smith would say, he's a lock for the Hall of Fame. Earl is looking like he's going to go to the center of the table. Oh no, he's Just psyching
He was
Roger
just
out.
teasing. Breaking like the one ball.
That 7-9 looks a little tricky, doesn't it?
It could be, definitely. But you know what I think that we may see?
He may get an angle on the 5, and when shooting to get position on the 6, he can
Right,
run into
go
the
up
bottom
above.
of the 9 off the
Exactly.
rail.
Well, he's got to get on the 3. And just draw the cue ball up between the 4 and the side pocket. Oh,
Wow. Look at this roll, though. And he even tied up the balls a little more.
Oh, that happened so fast. I don't even know what happened.
Well,
He was shooting the 2 in the pocket, and
this is a pretty crucial situation here for Roger. He's got to put the clinkers down here on Earl. Got to stop this express.
well, you know, he may be able to put the 2 in the area of the 8 and send the cue ball 2 cushions up table. You know, that's a definite option, but I think the way he's cueing it, he's going to try to kick the 2 ball out.
I don't like that.
See him cueing it? How far out on the...
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't know what he was thinking. Maybe he was trying to kick it, but it seemed like there wasn't any promise there.
Right. The only thing you could do was hit it perfect and leave him behind the 6. But the difficulty from 8 feet away was extremely high.
Right.
Earl is faced with an interesting position here. He may go off of the 7 or 9 and break those balls out now.
I think he'd get the 4 into the game. He's going to use the 6 as a break ball, I believe.
That's
And if anything else, you know, if it goes wrong, it looks like he may have an easy safety with the 7, 8, 9.
right.
So what he's looking to do now is pretty much almost get straight in on the 4 ball with a hair of an angle towards the 6, maybe.
Well, and shoot and stop. Where he shoots the 6 ball from the area of where the 4 is right now.
He may be looking to break him out right now.
I think he'll stop and use the 6 ball.
Uh-oh.
No,
Uh-oh, look at this.
I think he's all right here.
That was a great shot.
That was a great shot. He came up with enough angle on the 4 ball to go to the end rail.
Yep. He's worried a lot about this 9. He's going to have to hold this ball here. Look at the spin that he's going to put on this ball. Great shot.
Now we'll just see him draw the ball 2 cushions toward the 8. Go to the upper left-hand side. Yeah, just straight back out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to say that Roger missed the 2-5 combination because it was apparently as fully as he hit the 2, he was not trying to kick behind it. You know, unless the ball just massaged so much by the time it got there, but I don't think so.
Right.
Did he move on the break again? Oh, he hasn't.
No, he's doing the basic psych job here.
Well, that's a legitimate thing. You know, not to let the racker know which side you're going to break the balls from.
Exactly.
You know, at this level, the players know where to position the balls in the rack. You know, to make the balls go to a certain position on the table. I mean, none of that is automatic, but it's percentage type stuff. And Earl gains an advantage by not letting Roger know which side of the table he's breaking from. So. And Earl breaks equally well from either side, I believe. So.
Right. Well, I believe Earl's got the optimum advantage by actually being the shooter.
Oh yeah. Well, the score 8 games to 3.
Well, he squatted his rock rather well, but forgot to make something. I think we might see our first push shot here. Well, no, we already did see a push shot from Roger before.
You know, Roger has he has had some opportunities earlier in this match and has not taken advantage of the momentum opportunities that he has had. And now, you know, he feels like he can't get a shot because Earl breaks the balls and finally comes up dry. And the 2-9 is a possible combination, but Roger can't get to the 1. So now he's got to roll out, and when you're rolling out, you are at a disadvantage. There's no question.
That's right. You're going to get the worst of it. Well, he's trying to get a safety into it.
Yeah.
I think he's put the 3-8-4 down on our lower left-hand corner into play here.
I think that's a possibility. You know, there is a chance that Earl...
Try and ride to 9?
No.
I didn't think you were going to say that.
He's going to 2-rail the 1 down table.
He didn't want the 2-9 to stay there, did he?
Huh.
He didn't like the idea that he could lose this.
And Earl has... he 2-railed the 1 across table, moved the 2 away from the 9, and did only left Roger the edge of the 1.
Well,
You know,
I think Earl's going to be seeing a lot of 9-ball in his future here. Roger's simply going to bank the 1 to the bottom rail and spin his cue ball around to 7 and hopefully use the 9-ball to save Earl. Oh my gosh. He could see that ball.
That's how deceiving it is. I thought he could only see a sliver of the ball, and he shot it straight in. That was a nice shot.
That was a great shot. Even if he could see a big portion of that ball, that was a good shot. Whenever you're down 8-3 to Earl Strickland and you're trying to not touch a ball, it's a great shot. He hit that rail first, but I think he let the cue ball get away from him.
Well, he's in a difficult position. Well, 1, because he doesn't have an angle on the 4 to get to the 5, but the position of the 5 to the 6, you know, from a long way away is going to be difficult.
No, he pretty much had to cinch this ball. He knew that.
Now this shot right here is the key shot. See if he can, with his Bloodworth, Leonard Bloodworth built that cue. Draw his ball.
He answered the call, didn't he? Maybe a little bit too well.
He actually hit it too good. Thanks.
Can't see where the ball's frozen, but I think he's going to attempt to spin this ball in.
Well, it's so close that even if it's not frozen, you would shoot it, the same way.
Right, the
Hit
same
it with the inside.
I think what he's going to try and do here.
Go into the 9.
I think he's going to go for broke. He's going to, if I know Roger, he's going to try and shoot the ball and just run 3 rails.
Up and down.
No, he's going to miss the 9, but I think he's going to hit the side rail. And 3 rails into the center of the table. Well, it doesn't look like he's trying to spin it. It looks like he's running it flat, doesn't it?
Well, he was just trying to go up and down.
Either shot was extremely difficult.
Right.
Well, I don't think there's a secret of what Earl's going to try here.
No, it'll be up and down, and Earl hits these shots.
I predict that this ball may not even touch the bottom rail.
Right.
That's how well he strikes these balls. He's a little uncomfortable with this shot. I think he wants to make it perfect.
I think he realizes that this is a jugular type shot. You know, the score 9 games to 3 versus 8 to 4. I mean,
he's having a hard time dealing with the shot right now. He wants to get absolutely perfect on this shot.
And you were, if it brushed the rail, it didn't brush it much. That was a great shot. I would just see him cut the 7 in high, a little.
He looks like he's going to kill it. Just kill the ball. We'll go off the rail. maybe right about where his hand is. Oh. He'll be able to slice this ball in.
This is the one that won't touch the rail. Earl knows what the money looks like in 9 games to 4, or 9 games to 3. Excuse me. I went ahead and gave Roger that game. Thought so sure he was going to make that 6 ball. I gave him the game. 9 games to 4. There, I did it again.
9 games to 3.
Well, we can say I'm glad that Rick has got the score beads in the picture. 9 games to 3. Did you know it was snowing the first day of this tournament?
It was?
It snowed. Rick Bowling, Pat Fleming said it was flurrying or something the night before the, Tuesday night or Monday night? I know it was cold and wet when I got here, and I left home and it was dry and wet. I mean, hot and wet.
Well, you would think as many times as I've been to this tournament that I would know better, but I went and left home without a jacket.
Yeah, it goes without saying now, you don't come to Reno without a jacket even in August. You never know what's going to happen.
Oh, Earl continues to give Roger a hard time after the break. This is when it really gets bad. I think this really takes it out of a guy worse than anything. You almost feel like Earl missed a shot and saved you.
Right.
It can take it out of you.
You're glad to be at the table, and with him not breaking and running out, but you would sure like to have a shot, So.
Yeah, that'd be like playing 4 or 5 hours of one pocket right before you come to a 9-ball tournament. Look at this shot.
My goodness.
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh. Earl even smiled after that. Earl's applauding him. Look at that.
Well, when it's 9 to 4, you can do anything you want.
Now the score is 9 games to 4. He cross-banked the 1, played the 1-9 combination. Mark the spot on that tape for the volume 3 of the ACCUSTATS highlight tape.
Well, was the highlight him making it or Earl actually applauding his opponent? I don't think I've ever actually seen
both.
That. Now, Roger is not breaking from the same side Earl is. I think that may be a blunder on his part.
Right.
He was falling asleep in the chair.
But he did make the 2 ball on the break, and has a makeable shot on the 1.
Yeah.
With a reasonably easy out once he makes the 1 ball.
Well, the big shot here is from the 5 to the 6.
Right. And I don't really see, there's not too much difficulty in that,
No.
because he can go either way, or several ways.
Well, I think he's going to want to go around to 7, which is the ball right at the right-hand side pocket, and go 1 rail down onto it. Okay, he's kept himself on the correct side of the 4. Now he'll simply give himself an angle down table, 1 rail off the 5.
To the side, cushion it out. That's too straight.
That's really straight.
That is.
Yeah.
That is.
This is his favorite shot. He's already scratched on this once, but see what he can do with
go right
his
under his hand. Oh my goodness.
No, he tried to cheat it there.
JR, let's take a look at this 1 bank combination. Cross bank the 1. Boom. Cue ball jumps out of the way. Knocks the 9 clean in. The cue ball almost scratched in the side.
It escaped us, but there was a lot of opportunity there because even if Roger struck that 9 poorly, the 2 was there to help it in.
Exactly right.
We were too busy talking and crying to miss the shot.
Roger saw the opportunity instead of,
Sign of a true great champion.
Right.
Because when all looks bad, you can still find a great shot in the old bag.
Well, like I say, he was extremely happy just to be at the table with Earl not, putting another rack on him. So
Sure. Of course, now Earl's on the hill because he got too straight on the 5, and Earl's breaking from where Roger broke. because he came up dry 2 times. I believe Earl can see this too. Maybe
that right hand side.
Yeah.
Right hand side of the table with the 5 and 6 and the 3, 8, 9. That's a great safety.
All right. Now, do you try and go 2 rails onto this ball, or do you try and go 1, judging from where the 8 and 9 are?
Given the position of the 9 ball, I think 2 rails into the 2 ball. You know, there are plenty of good things that can happen. You know, you can, if you miss it short, you could cut the 2 in. He could play the 2-9 combination. The 2 could go off the 9. You know, a lot of good things can happen here, and I'd hit this ball with a little speed.
He hit it with a little pace.
He certainly did.
No, he went 1 rail at it. 1 rail was a way that I was looking at there, because it actually cleared the 2, I believe, and you had the cue ball shooting at the 9 a large portion of the time.
Right.
Maybe just a percentage, or like we said earlier, what you feel best with.
Right.
Now, 2 rails obviously was the easier hit. Earl's laying perfect. He'll run 2 rails around the 8. Keep an angle on the 4 now. He may just elect to shoot this 5 up in our lower right-hand corner here, which he has. Kept an angle to the rail. I believe he's simply going to follow this ball up. Yeah. He just doesn't want to get straight in on the 7.
Well, you know, Earl has he's withstood diversity in the match last night. And he came, you know, he's standing up to the test, and he's still undefeated, and he's a man with a mission.
Sure is.
JR, I certainly enjoyed it. We're not going to be able to have time to do an interview, but on your behalf, and Pat Fleming, Pat Jr., Pete, Rick Boley, and myself, David Maddux, thanks again from the Sands Regency in Reno, Nevada. If you have questions or would like to order this or any other tape in the ACCUSTATS inventory, dial 1-800-828-0397. Thanks a lot.
Right.